How are you? How you doing? So, what's up, middle schoolers and high schoolers? Hope you're doing well. I recognize that many of you are on your first week of summer, which is awesome. You just finished up on Monday. Well done. Finishing out what has ended up being an absolutely crazy year thanks to COVID. But this week, I'm going to chat just through Isaiah chapter 60. And hopefully we can talk about it in such a way that it's still meaningful in the context of which we're going through right now. So take a seat, just enjoy this, and yeah, it's good to see all of you. Well, it's good to know that some of you will be seeing this. How about that? There we go. So I'm going to open up. I'm going to read Isaiah chapter 60. And before I do, I want to say, if you've noticed, when I've been doing Bible studies with you guys, it's important to read the whole chapter, not just segments or a verse or maybe even just a paragraph. Sometimes it's really good to read a whole chapter, and that's one of the things that I like to do. And I love the fact that we're doing it through this ancient and bewildering and hopeful book called Isaiah. So let me read to you chapter 60, and then we'll chat it through. Okay? Oops, sorry. Where is it? So it's 22 verses. And I think you're going to enjoy this because you're going to hear some of the most hopeful passages right here in this book. Isaiah is known for being one of the books of the Old Testament that's highly quoted in the New Testament, and you'll see why. So here we go. Chapter 60. Just sit back, just enjoy. Here we go. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has shone upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness the peoples, but upon you the Lord will arise, and his glory will be seen over you. Nation will come to your light, and kings to your shining radiance. Raise your eyes and look about, for they are all gathered and come to you. Your sons will be brought from afar, your daughters carried on the hip. Then you will look and be radiant, your heart will throb and expand, because the wealth of the seas will be turned to you. The riches of the nations will come to you. The abundance of camels will overwhelm you. How about that, right? Young camels of Midian and Ephah, all those from Sheba will come, carrying gold and frankincense and proclaiming the praise of the Lord. All the flocks of Kedar will be gathered to you. The rams of Nebaioth will serve your needs. They will be accepted as offerings on my altar, and I will adorn my beautiful house. That's the first third. Here we go. Who are these that fly like clouds, like doves to their coats? Truly the islands are waiting, with the ships of Tarshish in the lead, to bring your sons from far, their silver and gold with them, for the name of the Lord your God and the Holy One of Israel who has glorified you. Foreigners will rebuild your walls, and their kings will serve you. Although in my anger I smote you, yet in my favor I have compassion on you. Your gates will always stand open. Day and night they shall never be shut, to let the wealth of the nations enter with their kings led in procession. For the nation or kingdom that will not serve you will perish. Those nations will be completely destroyed. The glory of Lebanon will come to you, the pine, the fir, the cypress, to adorn the site of my sanctuary and to glorify the place of my feet. The sons of your oppressors will come bowing before you, and those who despised you will prostrate themselves at your feet, and you will be called City of the Lord, Zion of the Holy One of Israel. And here's the last third of the book. Sorry, of the chapter. Instead of your being forsaken and hated, with none passing through, I will make you an enduring pride and a joy to all generations. You will suck the milk of nations and nurse at the breast of kings. And you will know that I, the Lord, am your Savior, your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Instead of bronze, I will give you gold. Instead of iron, silver. Instead of wood, bronze, and iron in the place of stone. I will make your overseers peace and your magistrates righteousness. No more will violence No more will violence be heard in your land, neither devastation nor ruin within your borders, but you will call your walls salvation and your gates salvation. Thanksgiving. The sun will no longer be your light by day. That's interesting. Nor will the moon's brightness illuminate you by night. But the Lord will be your light forever, and your God will be your glory. The sun will set no more, nor will your moon ever wane. The Lord will be your light forever, and your days of mourning will end. Then all your people will be righteous. They will possess the land forever. They are the shoot of the plantings of the Lord, my work of my hands for my glory. The least of you will become 1,000. The smallest, a mighty nation. I, the Lord, will expedite it quickly. So there were some hopeful passages in there, but there's kind of two main shifts that happen. Let me break it down. So in the very beginning, we have what sounds like people coming home. And in fact, there's a few predominant narratives that people use to understand their own spiritual walk. One, they could say they came home to the faith, right? They might say that they left home and found a brand expansive new land where lots of opportunities. So it's interesting, those two. But also liberation. That's a common one. I was set free from my past life. But in this passage, it's a lot of homecoming. And if you remember in some previous videos, I said the first third of the book is history about how the Israelite people botched it. The second third was about how they needed to re-understand their own exile as like an exodus. That actually this is for their benefit, their own being disciplined. But then I remember telling you guys that in the last third, it's like they take the themes and the ideas from the first two thirds and they throw it onto the future. And that's why we call it eschatological. This has to do with the end of things. Because in this passage, it doesn't overtly say Israel, the nation. It also doesn't ever verbatim say the word Jerusalem. And so what we have here is a passage about how the righteous are going to come home to the city of God. And if you notice, there's a part in that passage that says, I'm going to almost up the ante. Previously, you had cities built of stone. I will give you steel. You had it of clay, and I shall make it of bronze. So what we have here is this understanding that the city of God will be more enduring than any other city. But what does this have to do with you or I? Okay. Well, it has to do with the fact that a lot of us have the dominant narrative that we think at the end of all things, God's favorite plan is to punish and to destroy, rather than God's favorite narrative is to bring people home to the home that he creates for us. You see, that's probably one of the things that's been echoing down through history, is that a lot of us carry to God the expectation of what we would do. And a lot of us think that parts of the Old Testament are very brutal, but actually this is part of the Old Testament. This whole thing is about God's making a place for the people to come home to him. And it's going to be an enduring place, and it'll be a positive place, and it will be like a light to all the rest of the world. And that's even some of the same imagery that the book of Revelation picks up again when it does talk about the new earth and the new Jerusalem. So the Bible is very interesting because it's almost like it has links, hyperlinks, like when you click on a website, the little blue text, it jumps from this to that because it's all interconnected. But what I would love for you to do is just consider the Old Testament has God finishing history in a hopeful way. So let that challenge your understanding. If you think that the Old Testament is nothing but destruction and God raining down discipline and harshness, Isaiah has something very different to tell you. So why not go back? I challenge you, go ahead and read Isaiah 60 for yourself. And then you'll see Oh, the Old Testament actually has a lot of hopeful passages in it. And my goodness, we could use some hopeful passages today, couldn't we? So that's it. It's a good reflection for this week. You're all wonderful. Grace and peace to all of you, all right? Be well.